Hello, good afternoon, and welcome back to the channel. There's not a week that seems to go by where we don't get another news report about the RTX 50 series, more importantly, the RTX 5090. I've not really covered the new GPUs on my channel because until CES in 2025, January 2025, we're not going to get the full details. We probably are because it's going to be leaked well before then because that's just the norm. But I wanted to talk about the RTX 5090 because I am hyped for it. I am hoping to buy an RTX 5090. That's not just because I want to try and flex and say, whoa, I've got a 5090. It's because it's going to be a massive graphical leap over my RTX 3080 Ti that have been running for a couple of years now. I was interested in the 40 series, but prices put me off, and I've kept where I am, but I am due an upgrade, and I have been saving my pennies. But I'm not going to lie, the price has got my bum twitching because we're seeing rumours. There is rumours from Sifal forums that are saying the price of the RTX 5090 is going to be $2,000 to $2,500. Now there's a leaker on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, Copite7 Kimmy, that basically says that's wrong. There is also a fellow YouTuber, not quite in his leagues, but Moore's Law is Dead, who's normally, I say, on the money, always on the money with his predictions, and he predicted a while back it's going to be $2,000 to $2,500. Now rejoice for everybody in the UK, the exchange rate, the dollar and the pound. That would mean if it was $2,000, it's going to drop in around 1,700 quid. Well, sorry guys and girls at home, I got bad news for you. Let's just look at current prices of the RTX 4090 and 4080. So here we are at the Scan website. I totally endorse Scan. I've been using them for over 20 years. I'm not affiliated or anything like that, but I've always put trust in the site. They have good prices and their delivery is I'd say 9 out of 10 times impeccable. But they're very, very good company that I've dealt with personally. Never had any issues. But anyway, I'm probably covering up a side of the site with my image, but current GeForce RTX 4090s are still retailing in the UK for £1,840, going up to 2,000, call it £2,300. I'm going to say I'm sorry, for a graphics card that's absolutely ridiculous. It really is. It's extortionate. There is nobody should be paying that much for a graphics card. For what it actually does, that to me, that is very inflated. Now I did throw in the RTX 4080 Super graphics card. It's a bit more what I would consider still expensive, but reasonably priced, and we're below the £1,000 marks. And if you want to get an RTX 4080 Super today, we've got a Black Friday offer there for 909 UK English pounds at the top there, and that's not a bad card. But the trouble with the 40 series is that there is a massive gap in performance between the 4090 and the 4080, and the 4080 Super doesn't really align that gap. Now I am hoping that the 50 series, and it seems I think this would happen, goes back to the previous generation of card that I had, where say the 5080 Ti will only be a small performance difference to the 5090, and hopefully a £200 or £300 price difference. Maybe it's going to drop in the RAM, but maybe it would help people who want the 5090 but are not going to spend the ridiculous price for it. Who knows, as with all these videos, and it's why I've tried to hold back at the current time, it's speculation. Until Jensen gets up on stage at CES in 2025, we're not going to properly know the performance and price details. But for someone like myself, I keep mentioning, who's got an RTX 3080 Ti, it's whatever it is, it's going to be a massive leap over the current card I've got. But I want to have a quick rant, and I want to rant about two things, and it's the reason I've made this video today. So one of the reasons of me making this video today is that I want to get this message out there. If you're excited about the 50 series, I want you to do your homework before these video cards are released. 5090 is the flagship card. If you're not gaming at 4K, if you're not playing esports, if you're not using VR, and if you're not working with AI, stop and question yourself, why on earth do you want a 5090? In all reality, you do not need a 5090, and you certainly don't need the price tag that's going to come with it. If you are looking at buying a 50 series graphics card, firstly, what resolution do you game at? Are you 1080p? Are you 1440p? Or are you 4K? Another way we could put it, do you play in HD? Do you play in QHD? Or do you play in 4K? Those are important questions, because that's going to put sort of what tier of graphics card you need to be in. If you want to play 4K at your maximum potential, 5090 or a 5080 or a 5080 Ti is where you should be looking. For 1080p and for 1440p, I'd really look at the reviews. There's loads of people in the YouTube from our friends across the pond that always give detailed results of how these cards perform. Look at your resolution, but more important than that, than whatever resolution you play at, what refresh rate is your TV or your monitor? Because if your TV or monitor is only 60 Hz, you really don't need high end, you're going to be looking at the lower end. And there is nothing wrong with 60 Hz gaming. I'm sick of the snobbery and the bullshit on the internet. Anybody who's got refresh rates above 144 Hz, unless you're in esports, it's a marketing gimmick and you are wasting money. Yes, it's a smooth experience, but from 144 Hz upwards, unless you're an esports player looking for the nth, the minutest of advantages, it's wasted. It's just marketing BS. So let's look at 60 Hz gaming up to 144 Hz gaming, because for the average person, wherever you fall in that scale, that is all you need. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this, because if your graphics card can produce more frames than the frame rate of your device, it can actually be wasted and counterintuitive. Some people have actually underclocked their graphics card to stop issues of the frame rate being too high. So please, if you are looking at buying the 50 series, think of the resolution and the refresh rate that you play at, and buy accordingly to fit in with that. I mean, the reviewers, our friends across the pond and in this country who do very detailed reviews, will always give the review at 1080p, and that's because at 1080p it forms a bottleneck and you get more idea of a card's performance, and it gives you perhaps, more idea of the 0.1% lows. But what I'm going to say is, these cards are getting so powerful that the results, and I can't blame reviewers for this, but it's getting ridiculous. When you're getting results at 1080p that 480 frames per second, it is bloody ridiculous. It just means the card's too powerful for 1080p gaming, to be honest. It's absolutely wasted. And this is what I'm saying. Buy for your needs, not what the hype train is saying. Now, I didn't mention one thing, and it is rather frustrating. The people that make graphics cards aren't stupid. And if you're not sold on all the marketing bullshit about refresh rate that you're never ever going to need, they're throwing in things like frame generation, DLSS, basically very smart upscaling that will massively boost the performance of your card at whatever resolution. And they're tying this into generational, so DLSS 3.5 or 4, whatever they're going to call it, will probably be limited to the 50 series. Now that can help on some older systems. So once again, I would question to you, what's the maximum frame rate of your monitor? Do you need the later versions of DLSS? All this has to be considered when buying an updated graphics card, because to be honest, I think in the future we're going to get to a point where without these extra bolt-ons and gimmicks, like for example, I'm using NVIDIA Broadcast to make this video, without stuff like that, selling graphics cards is going to be far harder because of how powerful they're getting. But let's not forget that with every new generation graphics cards comes new generation graphics and bells and whistles, and to be able to push that slider up to maximum, you may need a higher end card. But again, running a game at high to medium as compared to ultra and everything forced is not a huge difference. Don't be drawn into graphical hype. Be actually, sensible and logical about what you're doing and what you actually need. I am excited. I am on the hype train. I would like the chance to buy a 5090 if it's not ridiculously priced. If it is, I'm going to look at a 5080 Ti, and I'm just going to have to sit on my 3080 Ti for a bit longer, because historically the Ti cards come a lot later than when the initial launch comes out, and that's just to make everybody buy the other cards first. Take a breath. I hope this has been useful. I hope this has informed you. I'm excited, but I'm also a bit like the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight, set up for a massive disappointment when NVIDIA drops a massively disappointing, stupid price on its next generation graphics cards. Peace out.